Car lots across America are full, packed, brand new trucks and cars sitting for months with nobody buying them. And instead of dropping the price like you'd expect, dealerships are doing the exact opposite. They're getting desperate, they're getting aggressive, and once you see what they're pulling on the few buyers left, you'll understand why people are walking off the lot for good. Real quick, if you're tired of dealership games, hit like and subscribe. It's free and it keeps this channel going. All right, let's get into it.
Everybody thinks electric cars save you money. That's literally every EV owner's only argument to why they bought one. I'm a car dealer and I see what actually happens after people buy them. Yeah, you're not spending money at the pump, you're not paying for gas, but that's not where people lose money. The value on EVs drops so fast, especially brands like Tesla. Over 60% value loss in just a few years. Also, something happens to the car, like a little accident or a quick repair. Now you realize parts are expensive, and don't forget about the battery. First of all, the more you drive it, the more it gets weaker. And when you're out of warranty and you need to replace it, that's the most expensive part. Insurance companies know that. And that's why your insurance ends up being higher too. And charging. At home it's cheaper, not gonna lie. But people who rely on public charging, prices are going up and it's not as free as people think. Don't get me wrong, for some people an EV makes complete sense. But buying one thinking that you're gonna save a lot of money, when you add everything up, you realize that saving money on gas don't offset all of these costs like people assume. Follow me for more videos on the car industry from a car dealer.
There is no used car market for EVs. We as salespeople, Tesla included, need to do a better job of explaining to people that when you buy an EV, you have to understand that the market on it, when you trade it in or try to sell it privately, is not going to be there. EVs are the only vehicles where what KBB is saying, what Edmunds is saying, what all of those online trade value things are saying is not real because they don't sell. A 5-year-old F-150 still has a 36-gallon tank. Doesn't work the same way for an EV. 5 years later, that battery might have lost 25% of its life. I get it. It goes against everything we were taught, but we really are shooting ourselves in the foot when they come back and try to trade it, and they're shocked that they're not even at half what they paid for the car 2 years later. You need to lease them and make it the dealership's problem.
If you're a Ford dealer, you're either going to get on the program or you're not going to be selling EVs. And I think that's very concerning because let's say that the entire line goes EV and then you're a Ford dealer, what are you really selling? They just kind of diluted your whole franchise, didn't they? So it's a little bit of a gun to the head approach, right?
Yeah, I would agree. And I think this is, most of, at least in New York State, the state franchise laws have always been very specific in saying that the manufacturer needs to offer all dealers all the different makes and models that's available. So the way that Ford's going about it is, questionable of whether they're just out of step or going to be in violation of a lot of state laws on there. And then it's going to be becoming a question of, does this end up in the courts? And does everybody fight it out? And I think we'll see more of this in the next, weeks and months to come.
So this is why I would not recommend buying a 2016 Kia Soul EV. As you could see, the vehicle has 43,000 miles. The batteries are still under warranty. And after a 14-hour charge, which is at 100%, it only shows 20 miles on the full range. Also, when you scan the vehicle, there are absolutely no codes. There's no check engine light, there's nothing. And that is why the EV cars are a love and hate relationship. I think the only company that's gotten it down decent is Tesla. Even though their cosmetics aren't great, Tesla's gotten it down to the point where the car actually works right.
Now, I want to show you something else before we get into the battery cost. Check this out. So this right here is my 2014 Infiniti QX60 that we keep around because it's actually pretty well loaded, and we use it for road trips because I don't like road tripping in EVs. It's inconvenient. But this vehicle right here is really only worth about $8,000, which is surprising at how feature rich it is. But it needed a new transmission because Nissan CVTs are garbage. At only 90,000 miles, it was $9,500 at the dealership to replace just the transmission, not the engine. The engine and the transmission probably would have been pushing $20,000 on a vehicle that's only worth $8,000. So this argument on the replacement cost of the batteries is not different for an EV than it would be on something that uses gas and isn't really all that high performance. Now let's talk about something else. Now when we're talking about the battery replacement costs in a vehicle that has this type of performance, let's look at other brands. If we were to replace, say, a V10 or something of that nature in a Mercedes, a crate engine is going to be running you $20,000 to $30,000 easy. Hellcats, easily going to run you $20,000 to $30,000 for a crate engine. I have multiple Corvettes that will run anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 for a crate engine. LS7 is a good one, was about $15,000 to $20,000, and that was on a $60,000 Corvette back before. If we look at a modern day ZR1 that's $250,000 to $300,000, it wouldn't surprise me to see General Motors charging $50,000 for that crate engine. So here's the thing: when you have high performance vehicles, they have high costs of fixing them. So it is not any different whether you're replacing an expensive battery or an expensive crate engine. And the reality is that everything does eventually break. It doesn't matter whether it's a battery. Now, the thing with these cars is that it's going to be more age-based than necessarily mileage. So if you're driving the crap out of one of these things, you might get 500,000 miles out of it if you crammed that into 7 or 8 years. On the flip side, if you almost never drive it and it sits for 8 years, it's still going to end up probably needing a replacement at some point. Batteries just get worse over time. Now, the thing with these are you can get extended warranties for them now.
An electric vehicle isn't for everyone. So I know I sell them. I know I own car dealerships that sell them. So maybe that comes as a surprise to some of you, but they're not for everyone. But let me tell you what some of the benefits are and some of the people that I think they are for. So the most obvious benefit is cost. Consumer Reports came out with their annual ranking of most affordable cars to own and operate. Tesla was number 1. I think number 2 was Toyota, and then Honda, Lexus, all the usual suspects. So in terms of owning and operating the car, they are the least expensive. Why? They don't really need any service. So you don't have oil changes, you don't have gears, you don't really have fluids, you don't need to take them in for stuff. So even the brake pads, because it uses regenerative braking, which means you take your foot off the gas, the car automatically slows down because it's winding the battery. So the brakes last to 100, 150,000 miles pretty easily. It's not because Tesla makes the greatest brakes in the world. It's just you don't use them very often. Other things like that, you just don't have to repair and replace. They don't break. They don't go bad. So your cost of fixing the car and servicing the car and repairing the car is extremely low. The other is the cost of fuel. The fueling the car is obviously by plugging it in. So for some people, they have free charging at work, free charging nearby. For those folks, the ownership costs are ridiculously cheap. If you're paying for it yourself and you've got a charger in your garage or a 220 plug or even a 110 plug, the cost of electricity versus the cost of gasoline is still significantly cheaper. How much cheaper? If you've got a really highly efficient hybrid vehicle, then that's not nearly as expensive to fuel than a truck that's 10 years old. And so you got to compare what you're driving or what you're thinking about driving versus the electric vehicle in order for that savings to be calculated correctly. The cost of operation and the cost of fuel are at the lowest of any vehicle you can buy. So those are two main reasons, are costs. The third is convenience. If you don't want to stop at a gas station, you don't want to deal with fuel in the car, and you have a garage or a place you can do a charger, I just plug in every night. I don't even think about it. I don't ever think about fuel in my car. I don't have range anxiety because I don't drive 300 miles a day. And so every time I wake up, I've got a full tank of electricity and I don't have to even think about it. And so it's just super convenient for me to just drive wherever I want. And so the fourth, I would say, is just fun, just pure fun. They're lightning fast, instant acceleration, quicker than just about any car you've ever owned, and they're just fun, just instant torque and instant power. And so for me, I think there's nothing wrong with just saying these cars are super fun. And so most people are interested in cost and convenience. They're also fun, they're also really safe, they're also really great in the weather. And so those are the things that I think are really making EV fun and unique and different, and why people are buying them. Myth number 3, EVs depreciate so fast you're going to lose your butt owning one. That used to be true. There was a period of time where EVs were the fastest depreciating vehicle ever in history, but it used to be true. What does that mean today? That means all that depreciation that somebody else took, they ate it. You won't. So now all these cars that I've got, they've only been fully depreciated, and they're depreciating just like a normal car does now. Yes, they depreciated horribly. And yes, if you bought a brand new one right now, there's a good chance you're going to take some pretty heavy depreciation. But if you're buying a used EV, particularly a used Tesla, that depreciation is done. At least the weird, unusual, crazy depreciation. So it used to be true, not true anymore.
Okay, guys, so the car dealership hating community took a pretty big hit this week. In Mississippi, the governor, Tate Reeves, signed a bill into effect that would disallow EV manufacturers to sell direct to consumer and bypassing franchise dealers. This is the first in many states that are going to adopt this. I've been predicting that for months. And those of you that don't think Elon Musk has the swag or the weight to continue to make this happen across the country so that he can sort of monopolize the direct-to-consumer model are probably a little bit naive. Tesla, ironically, was the one EV manufacturer that was exempt from this law and that can continue to do business with the direct-to-consumer model. So it's definitely coming across the country. So the car dealership hating community, unfortunately, took a little bit of a hit this week. Probably more than a little bit of a hit, unfortunately for you guys, but it is what it is. Sometimes the dealers win, sometimes the public wins. It's a battle that's going to go on forever, obviously. But yeah, so in Mississippi, EV manufacturers cannot go direct to consumer and bypass franchise dealerships. So there you have it. Now, if you like this content, hit the like, hit the follow button, and I will promise to keep it coming. All right, thanks.
If you're considering switching to an EV because of the price of petrol, you might want to understand the incentive scheme that's around for leasing electric vehicles. Now, if you're leasing an electric vehicle that had an original purchase price of less than the luxury car tax threshold for fuel-efficient vehicles, which is currently $91,387, you can lease that vehicle and you can pay for the whole cost of the car, the running of the car, the maintenance of that car with your pre-tax salary. So the government introduced this scheme back in 2022 to try and accelerate the uptake of electric and fuel-efficient vehicles in Australia. Originally, you could do this with plug-in hybrids, but a little while ago, the plug-in hybrids were scrapped. So it's only for fully electric vehicles. They need to be below that $91,000 number that I mentioned before. And if you enter into a lease arrangement, you pay for the whole cost of everything with pre-tax. So there's the loan repayments. Remember, you are borrowing money to buy a car if you're entering into a lease. So you're going to have to disclose financial information and everything. It's a loan application with the leasing company. Be very careful of the interest rate that the leasing company might charge you. You might be able to negotiate on that. So you pay for the loan, you pay for the rego, the insurance, new tires, maintenance, all of these kind of things. Everything is paid with your pre-tax salary. Now, because you're paying with everything with your pre-tax salary, your take-home pay reduces. But your take-home pay will reduce, but then you don't have to pay for rego, insurance, new tires, all of those things with your after-tax dollars. So for example, if you're a top marginal tax rate earner, you earn $1, currently pay 47% tax, and then with that 53 cents that you've got left over, you pay for the running of the car. Instead, if you were leasing an electric vehicle, you earn that $1, you pay for all of the costs associated with your car, everything that I just mentioned before. You then pay 47 cents tax on what's left over and you get to keep the rest. So it discounts the cost of operating the car. At the end of the lease term, you have to pay out the lease depending on how many years you've had it. It's a kind of a formula. It's not based on the residual value of your car or what it might be worth on the secondary market. There's a formula. So if you have it for 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, that number is going to become less. You'll need to pay it out. And then the last tip from a lot of people that have EVs is that you can switch your home electricity plan to an EV particular plan, which for a lot of electricity providers will give you a period of time, often after midnight for a few hours, where you get ultra cheap electricity. So people plug in their car and charge their car at that particular point in time, or they set the timer in their car. But then a lot of other people that I know then run other household appliances at that time. So set the dishwasher, set the washing machine. There's people that I even know that run the pumps and the heaters and things for their swimming pools on this ultra cheap electricity. So it can save you a lot of money on the electricity side of things too.
I posted a video a couple of days ago talking about how for the last few months the used car market in Australia has been absolutely cooked. Everything's been falling off a cliff. Prices have plummeted. Now, a lot of people in the comments pointed out that one of the biggest causes for that, and they were spot on, is genuinely the absolute flooding of the market with Chinese cars. You've got to think as well, right? For the last 2 or 3 months, fuel prices have been fucking sky high. And although they've settled now, the last couple months worth of damage to the market was done because so many Chinese cars are EV, brand new, full new car warranty, all the screens, all the gizmos, all the gadgets. They've been such a desirable option for people that everyone has just bought them, because you can buy one for almost the same price as a secondhand. I mean, like a Ford or a Nissan or a Mazda that's 2, 3, 4 years old with 40, 50, 70,000 Ks on the clock with balance of new car warranty and not as many screens. Yes, definitely better built cars, but so many people don't care. And even if they do care, the amount of incentives on EVs is, you can't compete. They're being pushed down everyone's throats, and I'm not against Chinese EVs. They have definitely got a place in the market, and that's been point proven. But I am extremely interested to see where the market ends up on Chinese EVs in the next 4 or 5 years, because the longevity on these cars has not yet been proven and will not be proven for the next few years.
Kia Australia has a problem with their EVs, and once again, it's not the cars. It's the staff at the dealerships. I just had a conversation with a woman, retired age woman, who went to the release party of the Kia EV3 here earlier this year at one of the dealerships in Perth. The dealer principal gets up in front of a room full of people who have either put down a deposit or signaled their interest in the car, stands up and does a 5-minute tirade about how shit EVs are, how the EV industry is a bubble, the EV sales are about to collapse. You name it, every cliche about EVs, he put it in there. This is the dealer principal selling EVs to a room full of people who have already said they want to buy an EV, and he's going to sit there and tell them they're all wrong. She walked out of the room before he even finished his rant, because in her words, she was like, I can't buy this car off this dealership. I've got to take this car back there to get it serviced, and if this is what he's acting like, it's what the sales staff are going to be like, it's what the back end of the service department is going to be like. She goes, I don't want a guy who hates EVs working on my EV. Believe it or not, she went and bought a BYD. The crazy part about this is not the first time I've heard about this rant, about this dealer principal. The first time I heard it, I thought there's no way that could be true, and I thought the person was exaggerating. This lady is now confirmed. This is the second person I've heard talk about how this 70-year-old dealer principal gets up in front of a room full of EV buyers and basically told everyone they were idiots. She walked off before he even finished his fucking rant. This is insanity, man. And Kia, that's why you're not selling more EVs. It's not the cars.